All right, and welcome to another edition of the 24th Floor. Today, it's all about college football. We're in week 2, and obviously, week 1 had some shocking scores, everything from the fall of Arch Manning to the rise of Florida State. Let's get into it. For all that, let's toss it over to our own Richard Denson for today's big idea. Richard?
Ruben, I think I was spoiled last Saturday. Both of the Mid-South's college football teams at home, you had options. This weekend, not so much, as they're both on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Let's hit that big idea, folks. Let's start right here in the 901 with the Memphis Tigers. They'll head to my home city of Atlanta to take on the Georgia State Panthers, who got whooped by Ole Miss. We'll get into that a little later on. But the Tigers look good in their debut, a 45-10 shellacking of Chattanooga this past Saturday. It was an all-around team performance, but I gotta say, he might be number 2 on the field, but he's number 1 in that locker room and in some of you all's heart. I'm talking about new QB Brendan Lewis, who had an impressive debut, threw a touchdown, ran for another, led the team in rushing, and was all backed by a stellar defensive performance. Let's hear it from the man himself going into Saturday's matchup.
Like I've always said, everybody in that room can make a play, so we did a really good job of spreading the ball around to a few different guys, and I hope we can continue to do that during the season.
Yeah, 4 different people scored touchdowns. 4 different running backs scored rushing touchdowns in that game, I believe. So he was spreading the love, to say the least. All right, now joining us on the program, a friend of the program, a 10-year vet, as they say. Man, you can always catch around the Tigers football field. On behalf of the Daily Memphian, Rich, you want to finish this intro?
Yep, call him FB2, Mr. Frank Bonner II, from one RD2 to FB2.
Alrighty.
There we go. From 1 second to another.
I don't have any.
I was about to say, Ruben, you want to weigh in?
I'm the only Ruben Diaz there is out there. Hey, let's get into it. Frank, thanks for joining us on the program. And again, we're talking Memphis right now. After the game, give us your take on how you feel Memphis looked, given they were playing Chattanooga, but still how they looked as a squad.
Yeah, right. So first you got to recognize the fact they were playing an FCS opponent, so they did what they were supposed to. But everybody wanted to see what this offense was going to look like with Brendan Lewis, him being a dual-threat quarterback. It's been a while since Memphis has had one. I liked what I saw out of Brendan Lewis, right? I know they had the interception, but even the coaching staff said it was a part of, him getting hit at the time and all that. But 81 rushing yards on 10 carries, you got to like what you see out of that. I think it gives some more creativity to Cramsey that we're going to see later on in the season when you have a running quarterback like that. And then obviously the different areas that you're able to do with the run game with, everybody knows that Greg went out, but you had Frank step in, Sutton Smith coming back and looking good, I think was a positive. And so all in all, you don't have anything that you looked at and said, oh, that's a red flag.
Gotcha.
Were you surprised that Lewis led the team in rushing? Like, how often do you see that a guy comes in and he leads the team in rushing at QB in his first game? That really kind of pushes the dual threat thing for him.
Yeah, right. I was a little surprised, not because we didn't know that Brendan Lewis could do that, but I assumed that they would lean on, Sutton and Greg, and obviously we know that Greg got hurt. But yeah, I was a little surprised to see that the QB leading the team in rushing with 81 yards, I think was a great surprise, I should say.
And we talk about Greg. I mean, like you said, he got injured again. I mean, last season he dealt with a collarbone injury. This season already, week 1, he's injured. So what do you like about Greg? Do you think that, all right, that's twice now you done got injured, that now, like, he might get passed in the depth chart from the other guys?
Well, I don't know if a healthy Greg will ever get past the depth chart. Just him and Sutton, just as dynamic as they are. I mean, those are the 2 guys that are going to be at the front of the depth chart if they're healthy. And so now you just wonder how long it's going to take for them to get back. Mm-hmm. If you listen to what Sutton Smith said directly after the game, and then Ryan Silverfield's comments, a couple of days, post-game, a couple of days after the game, it doesn't sound like he's going to be out for a long time. And so I do anticipate that Greg will be back on the field at some point in the near future.
And while no player wants to get injured, the reality is if you're going to get injured early, right?
Correct.
Because you have time to come back. And it also gives those other guys on the depth chart some very much needed carries early in a season that they otherwise might not get. And so Greg going down early, while it's not what anybody wants, it does allow other guys to get carries that maybe not not be getting those carries. So add some experience to that depth, to that room.
Yeah, and to your point, I think one of the names you have to say is Frank, right, from the Middle Tennessee transfer.
Yep.
I think he came in and gave Memphis some really good carries. He had 61 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they have just touchdowns all over the place.
Touchdown City, baby.
Yeah, so I think what you did see on Saturday is the depth in that running back room, even past Greg and Sutton, which is important, especially at that position. You know, attrition can come in on a long. You know, when you're in, week 10, week 11, you want to,
Everybody's tired.
So yeah, they have some depth in that room.
Taking a look at our highlights that we got here, you can see the defense was all over the place. What are some things that stood out for you last Saturday?
Well, for one, the takeaways, obviously the defensive touchdown by DeMarco was huge. But you want to continue. Last year, Memphis was among some of the top in the country in takeaways. And so you wanted to see if that was going to continue. And like we said, I know it's against Chattanooga, but you did see a couple of takeaways. And then also you saw William Whitlow getting the blocked field goal on special teams. And DC Jordan Hankins said that he wants his defensive guys to also make those plays on special teams. And so I think it was a good start for the defense. I'm just looking to see if that is going to continue when you start playing teams like Arkansas and Tulane and so on.
Well, I think to your point, you're playing an FCS team, and I always tell people, if you want to be great, you got to whoop the bad teams, right?
Right.
Play good against the average teams and compete against the great teams. You got to be able to do those things, right? So I would say they played great against a team that they are better than. But so to your point, though, you're still able to watch their performance and say, okay, this was done well, this was done well,
right.
This was done well. And as a coach, that's really all you're doing. You're checking the boxes to make sure the little things are being done.
Yeah, and so there wasn't, when you're playing Chattanooga, there wasn't anything that you were gonna see that was gonna make you overwhelmingly like, man, this is whatever. But what you didn't want to see is you didn't want to see something that says, man, wait a minute, that's cause for concern. Yeah, and so you didn't see that. And so I think that's the important part is you didn't see a bunch of missed assignments and things of that nature. I mean, they handled business 45-10 like they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Now we talk about bridging the gap here. So Memphis's next game is against Georgia State, which my sister went to. So I kind of have a little bit of familial connections to it. Some of my best friends went to Georgia State. So Memphis got them this Saturday, and Georgia State just came off getting whooped by Ole Miss, our other team in the area. Do you think now, kind of going into the next game, Georgia State, obviously with a chip on their shoulder, got to have short memory, that they're going to get a little more, the Tigers going to get a more heightened team from the Panthers?
Well, Frank, before you answer, I got to ask this one question. Could your sister not get into any other schools?
All right, man. See, all right. We got to do a quick aside.
Wait a minute now.
Quick aside here.
I'm loving this.
So first of all, let's do a quick aside. So my sister, shout out to her. She's going to watch this episode. She went to Georgia Southern for her undergrad and went to Georgia State for her master's because she wanted to stay in the state. Me, by the way, which is also kind of a small world for Frank and I went to school at Oklahoma State in Oklahoma, and it was not far from Tulsa, where Frank went. So, you know what I'm saying? I just tried to be different, get out of the state of Georgia, prove that I can thrive. And, being back here in Memphis, we're getting closer to home.
Let's answer the question. So, Frank, go ahead. What do you think about Georgia State?
I haven't forgot the question.
She could have got it in
Georgia State.
Well, yeah, like you said, right? They had a rough week against Ole Miss. I think the most interesting thing about it is the addition of quarterback T.J. Finley.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, I saw that.
Right.
Yes.
Are we going to see him? How much are we going to see him? I know he got cleared recently, but the head coach said he had been there since May, and so I anticipate that we're going to see him play on Saturday. Obviously, Hurst, the receiver, is their biggest name that they have. Sure. He didn't play all that. He'd only had, one catch against Ole Miss, but, that was a different situation. How much are we going to see out of him? I think that'll be a better test than what Chattanooga was for that secondary to guard a receiver like Hurst. And so those are kind of the things that I'm looking at. But I don't anticipate that this is going to be a game that Memphis is going to struggle with.
No.
Georgia State also has that cornerback who snatched the chain from Ole Miss. Did you see that?
Yeah, right. So I don't think we'll see any of that this week.
He got in trouble pregame, and they held him out for the game. So maybe he's like, I let the team down. So when I do get on the field, I got to make sure I contribute. So I mean, just some little things, I'm still taking Memphis to win, which I'll get into that in Bluff City Lines. But anyway, I agree with you. I think Memphis is going to be all over Georgia State. I think we'll see a Georgia State team that does come out a little bit more focused, and it'll be a little bit of a tighter game. But what I saw out in Oxford last Saturday just wasn't good.
Yeah, right. And the quarterback struggled, which is why, again, I'm curious to see, do they look to TJ Finley right away?
The thing you got to remember, though, and I know we have to take a break soon, is in this NIL transfer portal era, when guys jump in the portal, unless they just don't have anywhere else to go, they want to go to winning programs. Correct. So when you're a team like Georgia State and you haven't had traditionally winning, strong programs, and you're a team like Memphis can get good guys out of that transfer portal because they've got the tradition of winning now. You know, they've built that tradition. And so the guys who can't get the Power 4, Power 5 looks or offers, or the guys who are coming down from that level, they're going to go to a Memphis over Georgia State. So the level of talent, I'm expecting it to be substantially different on that field.
Georgia State's on this way, though. You got to give them a little bit credit. They play in Atlanta. They play in Turner Field, or what used to be Turner Field. I mean, we'll talk to Steven in just a minute. Georgia State has got some Power 5 guys, some former Power 5 guys. So put some respect on the Panthers, man. And I'm not just saying that just because of my family connection.
You better put on for your family school.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm still rocking with Memphis, but come on, man. Okay. Don't do my school.
Let him have his moment now.
Yeah, it's going to last about 30 seconds into the game.
Man.
And then the moment's going to be over. One shining moment is all we're going to get right then. Well, next week, we'll see how much respect we're going to put on Georgia State after the game.
We'll get into it when I get to my Bluff City Lines about the lines and everything. I respect Georgia State, but I'm still rocking with Memphis for the win.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, you acting like they some scrubs. This ain't Chattanooga. That's why the spread is only 2 touchdowns.
Only 2 touchdowns in a football game.
Man.
Not 2 points in a
compared to Chattanooga, where it was 27.5, where it was 4 touchdowns.
It is time.
You see what I'm saying?
It is time to take our break because this man is going to argue that Georgia State's up for the national championship.
No, I'm not.
Let's go to break. Appreciate you, Frank, for all your time. Could not have done it without you. We will obviously see you on the sidelines.
All right, man.
Coming up, time for a quick break. When we come back, we're going to jump into the SEC. But as we go to break, our very own producer extraordinaire, Jared Robinson, flexed his visual storytelling muscles, giving us one more look back at Memphis' dominant win from Saturday.
Here and be a part of this. And let me start by thanking the great crowd. They were phenomenal. Our fans showed up today. That's something we can hang our hat on as Tiger fans and Memphians. 12 straight home opening wins. That's something to be really, really proud of. And credit should go to the fans. They did a great job.
Every single guy in the room can make plays once they have the ball in their hands. So it's my job to get it to them. And the game, how the game worked out, a lot of them will be able to get touches and be able to show that they can make some plays. And I'm really confident, really excited.
Man, go Tigers. Yes, sir. Woo, woo. True blue, baby, go Tigers.
All right, this week Ole Miss is on the road. They open SEC play early, real early in the season. They got to take on the Kentucky Wildcats, a team that actually got them in Oxford last year.
Yeah, Ruben. In fact, that was Kentucky's only SEC win last season in Oxford, like you said. So, that stung a little bit. Kentucky didn't exactly shine in their debut against Toledo with a 24-16 win. And believe it or not, Toledo actually outgained Kentucky by about 20 yards.
That's not good, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Not if you're Kentucky. Now, we say all that we say, so that we all say this could be the Rebels' year, right? But for more on what it's going to take for Ole Miss to get it done.
Get her done.
Get her done, yeah. Those answers, we got to bring in the man.
The man, the myth, the legend. You can't talk Ole Miss without this man in the conversation. He is the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, which you can catch right here on the 24 Plus app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Mr. Stephen Willis, let's clap it up.
Back in the building, Mr. Stephen Willis.
Thank you. Oh, my goodness.
For both of us.
You know what I'm saying? I got to do the Jackson Dart clap. Remember the whole thing with Coach Gruden about all that clapping? I'm like Jackson Dart. I'm just clapping.
All right, Stephen, let's get started. First impressions after what we all knew was going to be a blowout win.
Well, it was a blowout win. That was the first SEC team in the history of the SEC to have 3 straight season open wins over 60 points in the game. And it's one of those things, if that was so easy to do, more than one team would have done it. So give them their flowers on that as well. Now, on that being said, it was a struggle win a little bit. They had a slow start in the beginning, and then they kind of got going. And scoring 63 points, having almost 700 yards of offense in a struggle win, what does it look like whenever they put it all together? Do they put it all together this weekend against Kentucky? That is kind of my takeaway from that. If that is middling Ole Miss on offense, what does good Ole Miss look like? That's my takeaway there.
Now, I was down there in Vaught Hemingway, Stephen, and the first takeaway that I had looked at is Austin Simmons. Now, I know last week we talked about he's going to be in Jackson Dart's shadow, at least in the beginning. And, of course, we're playing the comparison games. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Simmons did better than Jackson Dart's debut. But what stood out to me was those 2 interceptions. So what did you kind of see from Austin Simmons in week 1 that you liked?
I think he got fooled on one pass. The second interception was on the quarterback. The first one was on the offensive line. He was just hit when he threw the ball and just ended up in the wrong team's jersey. Austin Simmons, it's a pretty ball whenever it comes out of his hand. I mean, it just looks different than other quarterbacks, and he is a young quarterback. That was his first start. Against Kentucky will be his first road start. But he is good enough to overcome a lot of deficiencies with his arm strength, his accuracy, and everything that he has and in his disposal. I like Austin Simmons. I think his debut was about what you wanted as an Ole Miss fan or an Ole Miss coach. You wanted him to have things to set his confidence ablaze, but also has some stuff to work on as well. And that interception that he had, that second interception, he definitely needs to eliminate that, because Mark Stoops this weekend for Kentucky, he's known for occasionally putting quarterbacks on skates a little bit. And if you're not careful, he'll pick off 2 or 3 passes, and with the few number of possessions on offense that Kentucky gives up, I mean, a turnover means a little bit more when you play against a Kentucky team. You can ask Ole Miss a year ago. You were head and shoulders above where that Kentucky team is. But you played with your food. You let them stay in the game. Then all of a sudden on the last drive, there's a 4th and 12 that's converted for a 50-yard gain and a fumble into the end zone that allowed Kentucky to win that game. Believe it or not, that is Kentucky's comfort state. And Austin Simmons has to take care of the ball this weekend. Lane Kiffin can help him out a lot by kind of slowly easing him in as well, in my opinion.
Isn't that, though, what you kind of need? You need him to struggle a little early in a game to see how he's going to respond. Because if it's all sunshine and roses, Then when you turn around and do play Kentucky and you have a turnover, how's he going to respond then? So you kind of need him to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin said in his Monday press conference the first quarter in that Georgia State game was more adversity than the team last year got in all 4 games to start the season. So you did get to see him bounce back. And, you know, my wife, who is a super football person, obviously, but she noticed in that game just flat out is like he bounced back really well. There's been quarterbacks that 2 interceptions in 1 quarter, that would have been a confidence killer. And if somebody that only partially watches a sporting event notices that, everybody else should notice that as well. And like I said, I think that was a perfect first game for Ole Miss and specifically Austin Simmons.
Well, Stephen, I got to kind of do a little quick aside here, you know, on looking at that Ole Miss Georgia State game, like you talked about, when you looked at those 2 interceptions, me, myself, going into the game last week on this program, I thought that Georgia State would cover against Ole Miss. So looking at that first quarter, I was thinking pretty good about myself. I was like, okay, Georgia State going to cover 34.5, the spread. And then next thing you know, Georgia State everything just turned around. So, I mean, for the fact, like you said, that Ole Miss can turn it on just like that, from what I noticed out there, is every time Ole Miss scored, Lane Kiffin was just like, okay, you know, he was just walking around with his hands folded, just like, okay, we're supposed to do that. Is that just the type of guy that he is? It seems like he's never happy.
Well, he is happy whenever he gets a gotcha play. But against Georgia State, there's not really going to be gotcha plays. On the offensive and defensive side of the ball, they played very vanilla games. They kept things hidden for Kentucky. For instance, you'll see against Kentucky, Suntarine Perkins move around. There was no moving around against Georgia State. It was very base defense, do what you need to do. And because of that, I think this game in Kentucky has a chance to look a little bit different. For instance, the Ole Miss offense looks faster than it did last year. There's no Trey Harris on this team. There's no Jordan Watkins on this team. But Trey Wallace or Deshaun Stribling, I think it just looks faster. It looks twitchier on offense. Maybe it's the Austin Simmons effect, but I'm curious to see what that looks like when an SEC defense is on the other side of the field, because Ole Miss looked really fast, both offensively and defensively, against Georgia State.
All right, Stephen, I know we got to let you go and wrap this segment up here in a second, but real quick, I do want to get your take on how you feel. What's your outlook for Kentucky? I think it's 11-11 when the game is in Lexington, so it's not necessarily just a gimme game, right? So what should fans be on the lookout for when we're talking about Kentucky? I think their quarterback's like 75 years old or something. He's been playing for like 75 years or something.
Yeah. First of all, you can catch it at 2:30 p.m. Central Time right here on ABC24. Yep. Shameless plug for you guys.
Thank you.
But when it comes to Ole Miss in this game, Mark Stoops likes a rock fight, and he has had Lane Kiffin's number over the last couple of years. In 2022, it was a 3-point game that Ole Miss won, and last year it was a 3-point game that Ole Miss lost. I think that Lane Kiffin needs to get past the rock fight, and to do that, he needs to throw it short to throw it long. He needs to run the ball to throw it short. He needs to play small ball a little bit at the beginning of the game to open stuff up later on. I think Ole Miss is going to win this game. I think Ole Miss is going to cover. I'm calling 24-10 in this game. It could be more. I know that Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss staff spent a little extra time on the Kentucky defense. Last year when they did that was against Arkansas and against Georgia, and we all saw how that worked out. We will see if Lane Kiffin can do the same thing in Lexington. I think that Ole Miss is going to win this game relatively easy. And
No. Looks like we lost Stephen.
We lost him. I was just about to say, I appreciate the little Bluff City lines he gave there saying that Ole Miss is going to cover. We always appreciate the time from Stephen, and we will be catching it up with him next week.
All right. Stephen as well, but we can't talk SEC and not mention the Vols as well.
Time now for a new segment we want to bring you each week where we get an inside look at the Tennessee Vols. Here's Camille Gear from our news partner in Knoxville with this week's Tennessee Take.
Tennessee took the field for the first time on Saturday, and all eyes were on the Vols offense and exactly how they would look with a new starting quarterback at the helm. QB1 Joey Aguilar isn't the only new piece on this year's offense. In fact, 8 out of 11 starters are new, and the newness didn't faze the orange and white, putting up nearly 500 yards of total offense. Offensive coordinator Joey Halsley saying that this group isn't young. They're just young playing together, and Saturday's performance gives him the confidence in what this offense ceiling could be.
We really liked the group we took the field with, but as to your point, it was 8 new ones. It's like, all right, what do we really have? So leaving the field on Saturday, we know we got a tough, smart, competitive team, and you fill your locker room with a bunch of guys that are tough, smart, and competitive, you're gonna have a chance every Saturday. So they grasped the stuff we were doing at a really high level. We don't anticipate that changing, so the guys that we roll out there with every Saturday, we feel like give us a competitive chance to go get a win.
It was a blessing watching him out there play, especially being next to him, you know. Got to take the first snap with him, and just as our relationship has grown on and off the field, has been a blessing as well. And I cannot wait to see what he does down the road, because he's finna shock a lot of people there.
The Vols now turn their attention to ETSU. It's the Buccaneers versus the Volunteers inside Neyland Stadium on Saturday. Kickoff for that one is slated for 3:30. Reporting on Tennessee's campus, I'm Camille Gear.
So I've been talking about all the bets and everything. We've had a little bit of Bluff City lines tease right here, but this is the real tease coming back. I give you my Bluff City lines. We get our bets from Bills. That's all part of the 901 bets after this.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC24 and 24+. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app, streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. The storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
It's how big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24+. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24+. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24+. Download free on your TV now.
What up, and welcome to the 901 Bets. Think of this as sports betting for dummies right here in Memphis. Now, before we get rolling, let's throw up that disclaimer. And folks, if gambling has become a problem for you, hit that Tennessee Gambling Hotline. That number right on your screen, 800-889-9789. All right, y'all, let's break down today's bankroll basics. We're talking about a word you hear a lot if you follow betting, nap. And I must confess, I thought of this because of my good old buddy, Ryan Lee. His nickname is Nap, so this one's for you, pal. So what's a nap? A nap is basically a tipster's strongest bet of the day. Think of it as the one pick they feel the most confident about. You'll hear it a lot in horse racing, but it applies across the board. Now let's put it in Memphis terms. Imagine you're betting on the Tigers. If somebody tells you their nap today is Memphis covering the spread against Georgia State, what they're saying is, out of every bet they could make, that's the one they're riding with the hardest. It's like when you go to Central Barbecue. Sure, you've got a lot of good options, but that pulled pork sandwich, come on now, that's the nap, because it's the best bet on the menu. So remember, when you hear nap, think strongest play of the day, the one you put the most faith in. And in the 901, you always want to make sure your nap is as solid as a Tigers win at Liberty Stadium. All right, y'all, for this week's Bluff City lines, I'm rolling with Memphis to cover the 13.5 spread against Georgia State. Yeah, you see what I did there? Kind of segue. And I'm doubling down on the first half line at 7.5. Now, here's why. Memphis just rolled over Chattanooga 45-10, putting up over 400 yards with Brendan Lewis leading the way. And I think his star is just going to continue to keep shining. Georgia State just gave up 63 to Ole Miss, and they sit near the bottom in almost every defensive category. You see there, I like Georgia State. That's my hometown, but we got to keep it real. The Tigers are the more disciplined team, better on third down, and they're just sharper in the red zone. I see Memphis jumping out really early and covering both numbers. And over in Ole Miss, I'm rolling with them to cover the 9.5 spread against Kentucky, and I'm going to just go ahead and take the money line, too. Now, as we've said, this game is about redemption. Remember, Kentucky upset the Rebels in Oxford last season. Ole Miss, they have not forgotten, and they're bringing the fire this time. Ole Miss looked unstoppable last week against Georgia State, over 600 yards, as I said, 633 points on them. Kentucky struggled to move the ball against Toledo, and they'll have a hard time keeping up. Bottom line, Ole Miss has the firepower and the motivation to win big, but in the end, it's an SEC game. And like Steven said, 3 points have separated these teams in the last 2 outings. So to recap, Memphis to cover the 13.5 spread and 7.5 for the first half, and Ole Miss to cover the 9.5 spread and win. You could parlay that, or you just play it straight up. The choice is yours. Let's get ahead of the line, and the NFL is back this weekend, and I'm riding with the Washington Commanders to beat the New York Football Giants in Week 1. Washington went 2-0 against New York last season, and to be honest, New York hasn't really shown me anything to show they'll close the gap, especially against a team that played for the NFC Championship game last season. Now, I know we talk about sophomore slumps, but I don't see that with quarterback Jaden Daniels, at least not in Week 1. He's looking to build off a year which saw him win Rookie of the Year and even be in the MVP race at times. And he accounted for almost 4,500 yards of total offense. New York will bring it with Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson at quarterback now. And that new QB wideout duo, it could be dangerous. And an improved defensive front, adding Abdul Carter to the fold. But I just can't see Washington losing in front of their home fans in Week 1. All right, folks, let's get to our bets from Bill. This one comes from my pal Chris. He sent me Drake London to hit over 1,500 receiving yards this season. That's looking at plus 330 odds. Spicy, right? Well, last year he had a little under 1,300 yards, so he'd need to average about 94 yards per game. He's the Falcons' top target, and he's healthy. And with Darnell Mooney banged up in training camp in preseason, London could see even more looks. Now on the flip side, quarterback Michael Penix Jr., he spreads the ball out, throwing it to his tight end Kyle Pitts, other receivers like Ray McLeod, and even running back Bijan Robinson. They all can get touches, and they will get touches. But the upside on this play is a huge payout if London stays consistent. The risk, though, defenses will key in on him, and any injury or game script change, that could limit him. So bottom line, it's a high-risk, high-reward play. I'd throw a little something on it, but not too much. Hey, that's just me, though. You can send me your bets 3 ways. You can @ me on X at RD2Sports. You can use the hashtag ABC24Floor, or you can send something to our text line 901-321-7520. And just a reminder, folks, this content is for entertainment purposes only. ABC24 and its affiliates do not encourage gambling. Viewer discretion is advised. Any betting decisions you make are solely your responsibility. We are not responsible for any financial losses or wins resulting from information presented on this program. Time for a quick break. We're back after this.
Their Impact Alert Days. Stay informed, prepared, and connected with ABC24 and 24+. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on 24+. The 24+ TV app, Streaming 24/7 local news from the team you trust on your time.
Rain showers through the day today, and we're starting.
Track how the weather will impact your day.
Rain coming in tonight into tomorrow.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene. Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. 24+, complete coverage of your local news, weather, and more.
Here comes our first batch of rain.
Some severe thunderstorms and even several tornado warnings.
I think the bigger issue is going to be the wind gusts. So you start getting some branches knocked around. You could definitely see some power outages today. The storms could pack a punch.
It's not just the thunderstorms, it's the fact that this low pressure is so strong.
How big that storm system was.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on 24+. Download on your TV and watch for free. When news breaks, watch 24+. See the story as it's happening. Be on the scene, faster than ever before. Live updates from the team you trust. Stream breaking news on 24+. Download free on your TV now.
Here's the say what for today. The Alabama football team spent all week making TikToks and staying up past curfew. Say what? I say it's time to get locked in and get serious if you're an Alabama football player.
Can we take a look at the video in question? You know, that you're just rambling, you're just yapping. Let's see the video.
I'm speaking facts.
Let's show the people the video. He hitting that thing, man. What's wrong? What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it is they're hitting the TikToks but not hitting the opponents against Florida State. That's the problem.
Now, if they would have won, you wouldn't be saying that.
That's exactly right. If they would have won, I would be saying, obviously, you can do both. But what I'm saying is, at some point in my mind, and maybe I'm a traditionalist, they need to get back to the tradition of what Alabama football is. And it's not TikTok and losing.
Will you let the people know what year you were born in?
Why do they need to know that? I'm a grown man. That's what year I was born in. I was born in the year of grown men.
Because this is a very boomer take of you.
Well, it's just a very realistic take.
What's wrong with, let the kids have fun.
Are you okay with losing?
I mean,
are you okay with losing?
No, I don't like losing.
Okay.
But if they would have won, though.
So you're not good with losing?
No.
And are you willing to concede that maybe some of the attention has been taken off of what's important, which is the details and the tradition of winning, and been placed in other areas like NIL, dancing, and ignorant stuff?
Do you know what the average day of a college athlete is like?
I absolutely do know what that's like.
Do they not deserve to have any fun?
They do deserve the time to have fun.
Where are they gonna have fun?
Would you?
So what if we caught them like a stream of them like playing 2K or Madden or Fortnite or Call of Duty?
If they were dominating, winning, handling their business, would you have any problem with it at all?
I don't have a problem with it, period.
I have a problem with it when you're not taking care of business. That's my thing. Take care of, but I'm also a dad, and I'm a dad who teaches my kids, put your shoes in the closet before you come downstairs. So handle your business, then go have fun.
So when your kids are 12 and eventually 18 playing football and you see them making TikToks or whatever we got, in the future, are you going to get onto them?
If they are not doing their job on the field and I see more TikToks than I see touchdowns, you better believe
it's a team game. What if the dudes who weren't in that TikTok video also contributed to the reason that they lost? Which is the case.
Say what? Get back to the basics. Be good at what you're doing first, have fun second. That's all I'm saying. That's my say.
Let the kids have fun, man.
The kids have fun doing other things.
Exactly, so they can make TikTok. Okay, but if they would have won, we wouldn't be talking about this.
And they didn't. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of the 24th Floor. You can't win this argument. Shout out to everybody who made today's show possible.
Especially our guy, Jared Robinson and Brooklyn High for their work behind the scenes, putting the show together. Big shout out to Frank Bonner from the Daily Memphian, and as always, our guy, Stephen Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Ruben, I got to debut my catchphase.
No, you're not debuting.
I got to.
Have a great day, everyone. Cut that mic. We will see you on the other side. Cut that mic.
You wouldn't let me get the catchphrase.
No, fam.